I'm typing this from inside the cave. The same cave that just collapsed behind me 20 hours ago. My flashlight died long before that, so I'm writing in total darkness using the faint glow of a satellite messenger screen. One bar of signal blinking. I'm sending it as a final SOS text file. If you're reading this, it worked. Or someone found my body and pulled the device. Either way, my name is Bob. I'm a husband, a father of 3, and a very stupid man. Gabriel picked me up before dawn in his dusty pickup. He's French, an actual speleologist, the kind who maps virgin passages and finds bones of extinct bears. I'm just a guy who owns a chain of hardware stores and gets a thrill from weekend adventures. I told my wife I'd be back for dinner, Gabriel said. The maze isn't a beginner cave. Are you absolutely sure? I laughed and said I'd done plenty of crawling in my youth. He didn't laugh back. The entrance was a fissure in the bedrock, a sideways mouth that didn't look big enough for a dog. We geared up in silence. Helmets, headlamps, thin wetsuits over our clothes because the lower levels were partially flooded. Gabriel went first. I watched his legs disappear, then his boots, and I heard him slide down a chute of wet limestone. My turn. I pushed my shoulders into the crack, and the rock squeezed my chest so hard I had to exhale completely. For a second I couldn't breathe at all. I wiggled, my ribs scraping, and then I dropped into a small chamber. Gabriel waited, his lamp a cold white star. He said, "Now the real fun begins." The first 100 yards were a labyrinth of crawling tubes. We moved on our bellies like soldiers, helmets scraping the ceiling. Every forward motion a fight against friction. Water dripped onto my neck, ice cold and relentless. In some places the passage narrowed to the width of a car door. I had to extend one arm forward and drag myself with my fingertips while my hips jammed against the walls. I heard Gabriel's calm breathing ahead and I copied his rhythm. I thought about my kids, about their drawings pinned to the fridge. I thought about the warm April sun outside. Then we hit the flooded crawl. Gabriel stopped at a dark pool that stretched into an oval throat of stone. He said, "This one is about 10 meters long. The ceiling dips to maybe 4 inches above the water. You'll need to tilt your head back, keep your nose and mouth just above the surface and pull yourself through. Don't panic. If you panic, you'll swallow water and wedge yourself." I watched him lie flat in the water, his body sinking until only his face and gloved hands were visible. Then he slid into the slot and vanished. The water was so cold it burned. I followed, the liquid flooding my ears, muffling the world. The ceiling pressed against my forehead, forcing my head back until my throat was stretched out. I pulled myself, along with my fingers hooked on tiny ledges. Water lapped over my lips. I breathed in shallow sips. The dark became something solid. I couldn't tell if my eyes were open or closed. I counted pulls. 1, 2, 3. At 12, my hand touched Gabriel's boot, and he dragged me out onto a muddy shelf. I coughed, shivered, and told myself I was still alive. We kept going. The maze twisted downward into a cathedral-sized room, fringed with stalactites that glistened like chandeliers. The air was dense and heavy, tasting of mineral and ancient stillness. That was the hard-to-reach place Gabriel had wanted to explore. We'd spent nearly 4 hours getting there. My muscles screamed, but I was riding a wave of pure adrenaline. I even joked that we deserved a celebratory feast. Gabriel gave me a strange look, but said nothing. I sat on a flat boulder, opened my waterproof pack and pulled out my secret. A triple bacon cheeseburger, still faintly warm from the thermal pouch I'd hidden it in. The scent of grilled beef and fried onions exploded in that dead underground air. I'd picked it up from a drive-thru right before Gabriel collected me. I had planned the whole thing as a ridiculous summit treat. I held it up like a trophy and said, "Look at this beauty." Gabriel's helmet light fixed on the burger. He stared, then he said, "You brought a gigantic burger into a tight cave. Tell me you're joking." I told him I was dead serious. I could already taste the sauce. Gabriel moved closer and said, "Bob, listen to me. We have to crawl back through every squeeze we just passed. That food will sit in your stomach like a rock. Your abdomen will expand. We don't have room for an expanded anything." I laughed again. I said something about his French sensibilities being jealous. He said, "I am not jealous. I am terrified of what will happen if you eat that." I took a massive bite. The juices ran down my chin. It was the best burger I'd ever tasted, and the worst decision I've ever made. I finished every scrap, while Gabriel watched in horrified silence. When I stood up, I felt a deep, heavy fullness. Nothing alarming yet. We started the return journey. Gabriel went first and I followed, still confident. The first vertical squeeze caught me off guard. It was a chimney of rock, maybe 2 feet wide, corkscrewing upward. Gabriel slithered through with his usual grace. I entered feet first, my shoulders wedged immediately. I inhaled, compressed my chest, and slid down a little, but my stomach wouldn't follow. It pressed against the stone. I shoved harder. The rock didn't move. I didn't move. Gabriel's voice floated down from above. "Bob, what's happening?" I couldn't answer at first. I wriggled and felt my belly jam even tighter. My wetsuit stretched across a mound that hadn't been there an hour ago. I realized the burger was swelling inside me, mixing with water and nerves, creating a dense, unyielding balloon. I tried every angle. I scraped the skin off my hips. I heard Gabriel scrambling back down to a parallel fissure, his headlamp piercing a small gap above me. He said, "You are stuck, aren't you?" I told you. "You're stuck because of that monstrosity." I didn't want to beg, but I did. I asked him to pull me. He tried to reach my hand, but my arms were pinned at my sides. He couldn't get leverage. He said he would climb out and bring back rescue. I heard the rocks shifting as he fought his way toward the exit. A long time passed. I counted minutes by the dripping water. Then a deep, heavy rumble shook the whole system. Rocks cracked and boomed somewhere above me. Dust filled the narrow space. When the echoes died, I heard only silence. No more scrapping, no more Gabriel. The collapse, the one that still has me pinned, had sealed the passage. I yelled until my throat bled. No response. 20 hours later, I'm still here. My stomach has subsided a little, but not enough. I can move my right wrist now, just enough to thumb type on the satellite communicator Gabriel clipped to my harness before he left. He said it might get a signal if the collapse shifted the ceiling. A tiny crack lets in a sliver of outside air and a sliver of signal. I've been writing this story for the last hour, my fingers numb. The screen says battery low. The oxygen is getting thin. My thoughts are slowing down like molasses. I want my wife to know I loved her. I want my kids to know I'm sorry I missed dinner. I want anyone who reads this to remember one thing. When an experienced speleologist tells you not to eat a triple burger 400 feet underground, don't do it. Don't tell yourself he's just jealous. Don't let your stomach write a check your ribcage can't cash. The screen is flickering. I can't feel my legs, and that distant humming in my ears is getting louder. This is Bob, signing off from the dark. The signal bar just blinked green, sending now. I think I hear my wife's voice, or maybe it's just the cave singing me to sleep. Goodbye.